In this video, you're going to learn how stated clearly animations are made. Hello everybody, John Perry here. Welcome to my brand new YouTube channel, Stated Casually. A lot of you know me from my other YouTube channel, Stated Clearly. Over there I do animations about genetics and evolution and life origins chemistry. And I get a lot of questions, and I want to be able to respond to everybody's questions, but it takes me usually about 4 months to do one of those animations. You know, I have to do other stuff during the day. Animation is very time consuming, and also I'm really picky about what goes up on there. And so for a long time I've been wanting to start a new YouTube channel, Stated Casually, where I just kind of sit down and, you know, drink some coffee or whatever and answer people's questions. So here I am. And the number one question that I get a lot of science questions, and I'll be answering those in the weeks to come. Hopefully I'll be doing one of these roughly once a week. But the number one question that I've been getting is, how do I do stated clearly animations? How do I draw things into the computer? How do I make them move? And so on. Well, I do the animations by using this pen right here. This pen has made all of these stated clearly animations, actually. And this pen draws on this tablet, and whatever I draw on here goes into the computer. I draw using a program called Adobe Flash, and it's also what I animate in. And let's just zoom into the computer screen here, and I'll show you how I make these pictures move once I've drawn them. Here we go. Alright, here we've entered into a little chameleon animation that I made. And if I hit play, you can watch him look around and eat a bug and chew on it, eats another bug, finally eats the big bug, and then he looks around kind of awkwardly as he finishes his dinner. So there's a lot of stuff going on here as far as animation goes. And I think that before I show you how I made this work, it's going to be best if I open up a new file and show you just the basics of animation. So, do a new file. I'm just going to draw a circle. I'll make it a blue circle, and we'll give it a black outline, a big thick black outline, and making a circle. So up here is my timeline. I'm animating at 30 frames per second. And so here you can see this 1, 5, 10, 15, 20. Each one of those is a frame, and there's 30 frames in a second. So if I move forward in my timeline and insert a keyframe at frame 30, now I have an animation that if I were to hit play, it'll go for 1 second. And it doesn't do anything because all I did was I drew a circle, and that circle is just sitting there. But if I go to frame 30 and I take the circle and I move it somewhere, now when I hit play, it's going to go to frame 30 and then jumps to where I moved it on frame 30. So it just jumps right there. Now if I want a nice smooth animation to occur, if I want this circle to slowly glide over the course of that second, those 30 frames, I can tell it to create a tween, the computer to create a tween. And what it does is it looks at my first frame and my last frame on frame 30, and it fills in all the, you know, missing links, if you will. So when I hit play now, I get a nice smooth animation from the left to the right. I can play it as many times as I want. So that's the basics of animation. That's the simplest way to animate. You can actually, sometimes I'll animate things frame by frame and actually redraw things as I go, old-fashioned style, but a lot of times I try and avoid that because it's time-consuming, and I just use tweens. So this chameleon is actually a puppet. I drew him, and then I cut him into pieces, and he's distributed onto a bunch of different layers. I can move his head, for example. His head and his body is all in one layer. His bottom jaw is on a different layer. And then inside of his mouth, I have a layer that just, you know, is like a pink cover, basically. And underneath that is a tongue that I can move independently. And so all of these parts move independently, and all of them are controlled. I end up controlling by tweens. So I'm going to put these back together here. And And I'm going to show you how these tweens work. So on frame 147, our chameleon's looking at the bugs. And if I jump forward to frame 171, he's sticking out his tongue. So what happens when I hit play? He sticks out his tongue. All that movement, let me show you that again. All that movement is done with tweens. His jaw opens, his head and body tilt, and his tongue comes out of his mouth. Now if we move forward in the timeline, hit play there, we'll see that more tweens are happening in my timeline, causing the tongue to stick out. He grabs bugs, his jaw moves as he eats, and so on. So that's it. It's really pretty simple. To make an animation work, all you do is you draw a picture, you cut that picture into pieces, all the little pieces that you want to be moving during the animation, and then you make them move using tweens. There's not a whole lot to it. It's time consuming, but it's really fairly simple. Well, that sums up our first ever episode of Stated Casually. Hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions about genetics or evolution or how I do Stated Clearly animations, just send me an email. Go to my website at statedclearly.com, and there's a contact form on there, contact button, and just shoot me a message and I will do a video answering your question. So long for now. Stay curious.